Hey guys, this is Meade Neumann with Renewed Spirit Healing. I am a master energy healer and life coach. For those of you who are already familiar with me, welcome back. And for those of you who are not, I definitely encourage you to take a look on my website to get some more information. It's www.renewedspirithealing.com, or you can find me on Facebook, and I post on there pretty much every weekday. So I definitely welcome you to check me out and see if there's anything of interest there. This particular course is an energetic response to COVID-19, which I am affectionately calling the fear plague. And I hope that by the end of this class, you will come away with at least some interesting insights, some personal connections on how you can encourage yourself, encourage your health, and support yourself in ways that are going to make sense for you. One of the things about the way that I see the world is it is a personal, interactive environment, so you change the world as you move through it. So let's dig into it. COVID-19. First of all, when we look at the media and we see what's coming in at us, a lot of us are feeling a great deal of fear, a great deal of hopelessness. And that puts us in a very bad place, because when you are fearful, you react in ways to protect yourself. When you are hopeless, you are less likely to create action. You're less likely to take care of yourself. And this is a problem for those of us who want to get out into the world and make a difference. It's also a problem for anybody who wants to be healthy, because we are very much like water. The more you stagnate, the more you fester, the more you become just a really nasty, mucky mess. So if that is not where you want to be, I hope you will continue into this class. But then the question becomes, well, what do we do about it? What is the path forward? Change. Change is the path forward. Because when you understand that you have the ability to change, then you empower yourself. One of my favorite quotes is the idea that man's greatest power was the ability to suspend reality. I agree with that to a certain extent, but I also find that it is the place where we first encounter our ability to destroy ourselves. Because when we believe that we have no hope, when we believe that we cannot change, that change is impossible, then we restrict ourselves to a very small place, and we prevent ourselves from being able to effectively change anything and create anything. And that's a problem. So let me start with a simple idea. When we come into contact with something like COVID-19, what is going wrong? From a biological place, you have all the symptoms. You have the respiratory symptoms, you have fever, you have breathing issues, you have digestive issues, you have body aches, and eventually you may have, in really extreme cases, organ failure and death. Okay, first of all, fear likes to be a bully. So let's start with the reality. When we're talking percentages, we're talking about a very small percentage of people who go into the extreme place. This is much like the idea that 10 people fall down the staircase, but only one person breaks their leg. Okay, so if you want to be one of the people that doesn't break their leg, then you have to set yourself up for having a healthy body, having a healthy mind, having good reactions, things like that. So with COVID-19, what might be going wrong. You could have somebody who has a low immune system. You could have someone who feels bad quite frequently. You could have someone who is fearful. You can have somebody who is in some way, shape, or form, their physical boundaries are negated and they are therefore in danger. And that's a big thing that brings us back to the fear place, because we are afraid of suffering. We are afraid of being in this hopeless place. We are afraid of becoming a burden on the people around us to the point where they kick us out and they reject us. And that may sound like a totally weird place to come at from the COVID-19 idea, because you say, what's the connection between I feel bad and all of a sudden I have an illness? But to me, that's one and the same. They're part and parcel of the package. So the idea is we have to understand what we are in order to move forward. We are all energy creatures manifest in a 3D body. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, I mean that your brain uses energy to fire your neurons. That's how you think. Your heart uses energy to beat. Your nerves, every nerve in your body uses energy to see, hear, taste, touch, feel. This is how we know that it's a beautiful day outside. This is how we know when somebody is talking to us. We use the energy in our brain to process so we can understand what the person is saying to us. And when those physical sensations are being processed through our body, emotional sensations are being processed as well. But it is so much more than that. We begin from a place of energy, and we never completely leave it. So when we change our emotions, we change our energy. When we change our energy, we change the way our physical body is manifest. If you've ever had a time when you were depressed and somebody that you loved or that you cared for walked into the room, you generally felt better, even if it was only for a little while. So emotions definitely are one of the easiest places that we have that we can, untrained, inexperienced, without having, a load of scientific research, we can just affect ourselves in a potentially positive way. So, one of the ways that we combat something like COVID-19 or any other plague of fear is we look for ways to create hope in our lives. Somebody once said a long time ago that if you look into the abyss looks back at you. Well, COVID-19 is a great way for you to look into the abyss and the abyss to look back at you. So the question is, how do you turn around and stop staring at the abyss? There are some simple things. First of all, you're not dying. Let me be very clear. Right at this moment, you are not dying any more than you were yesterday. Okay? So take a deep breath. Understand that there are some basic, straightforward physical things that you can do. You are not hopeless. You are not helpless. You haven't been this way your whole life. You're not going to be this way your whole life. Okay. Breathe. Now take into account some of the things that they have been talking about out there in the media that are actually good ideas. Is it a good idea? Manifest. If you've ever had a time when you were depressed and somebody that you loved or that you cared for walked into the room, you generally felt better, even if it was only for a little while. So emotions definitely are one of the easiest places that we have that we can, untrained, inexperienced, without having, a load of scientific research, we can just affect ourselves in a potentially positive way. So, one of the ways that we combat something like COVID-19 or any other plague of fear is we look for ways to create hope in our lives. Somebody once said a long time ago that if you look into the abyss looks back at you. Well, COVID-19 is a great way for you to look into the abyss and the abyss to look back at you. So the question is, how do you turn around and stop staring at the abyss? There are some simple things. First of all, you're not dying. Let me be very clear, right at this moment, you are not dying any more than you were yesterday. Okay? So take a deep breath. Understand that there are some basic, straightforward physical things that you can do. You are not hopeless. You are not helpless. You haven't been this way your whole life. You're not going to be this way your whole life. Okay? Breathe. Now take into account some of the things that they have been talking about out there in the media that are actually good ideas. Is it a good idea to wash your hands on a regular basis? Yes. Is it a good idea to wash your face? Yes. Is it a good idea to stay aware of your surroundings and not be in everybody's personal space all the time and breathing in their air as they breathe it out? Yes. And one other simple concept, please stop trying to be martyrs. If you are sick, stay home. You are creating more of the issue and more of the problem. And if you are in a place where you can't stay home because your bosses don't respect the fact that you are actually ill, then it might be time to rethink where you are working and what you are doing. You have the power to change your lives. Stop acting like you are physically chained up and being a slave. Your life is under your control. Take the reins back, start doing something with it. That said, I know that there's still a lot of powerlessness and helplessness running around there. So we're going to go back to some basic energy things that you can do, things that include some of the physical things. So it's easy to wrap your mind around it. So let's go back to the idea of washing your hands. When you wash your hands, wash your face, wash your body, whatever, you understand in your head that you are cleansing at least the physical body. Well, I'm going to encourage you to allow yourself to believe that you are also cleansing the energy. You are physically washing off the energy of everybody else around you. Humans, we're really kind of messy creatures. We walk around this world puking our emotions and our beliefs and our everything all over each other. And those of us that are sensitive to it don't always think about cleaning that crap off. Now, let me give you a really simple visual here. If any of you have ever had a grill and you had a cover over that grill, and maybe you didn't touch that grill during the winter, right? Because it's freezing cold outside and you didn't go out there. And then you go back out and you look at that grill cover and it is coated in cobwebs and dirt and leaves and it's dirty, but it's natural dirt, right? Okay, that was sitting in one place. It wasn't really around anybody. Now, you are going out into the world and people are puking their disgust, their helplessness, their fear of COVID-19, their every version of human emotion all over you. And you're just kind of hoping it flakes off. So when you cleanse yourself, when you bathe, when you wash your hands, when you wash your face, wash everybody else off too. As a massage therapist, my family is perfectly comfortable with me walking in the door after a day of sessions and say, okay, excuse me, I'm going to go wash the people off of me. And they don't even laugh. They understand that I'm absolutely serious. I am washing all of the people off of me, and then I'll be back to being able to consort with the rest of humanity or just my family. So that's a simple concept. And if you're doing this multiple times a day, then if you do come into contact with somebody that has COVID-19, the cold, the flu, whatever these things are, and you wash it off of you, you see how this is less likely for you to take on the illness yourself? This is part of the thing that they figured out back in the Middle Ages, when they weren't washing hands, and they suddenly realized that when they washed their hands, people got better and people stayed healthier for longer. It was a miracle. That's what they considered magic back then. Okay, go figure. It's 500 years later and we're still coming up with the concept of we should wash our hands. We might want to have a little more faith in the human ability to learn. Learning curve's a little low here. All right, so we talked about washing and cleansing. Here's another concept. We're energy creatures. So when you empty yourself, when you let go of things, when you go to the bathroom, whatever, when you are releasing, you are creating a need to refill. Digestively, when you go to the bathroom, your body is then preparing itself to be able to receive more food or nutrition. Energetically, we are set up to be a lot like sponges. And the problem with this concept is that if you do not choose what you are refilling yourself with, then the body's going to soak up whatever's around it. So that means that if you are consistently around fear people, paranoid people, toxic environments, fear-filled environments, things like that, and that is all that you are surrounded by, that's what you're going to fill up with. So this is kind of like boiling the acid out of the boat. It doesn't really matter because more is piling in. Think about where you are, what you are putting yourself into. One of the reasons that I thrive in my little office is because I have this amazing view. I have fresh air that I can breathe in. I have the inspiration of the world refilling me. You can do that in whatever way works for you. Everybody's different, so what fills you may be totally different from what fills somebody else. Case in point, introversion versus extroversion. An extrovert is somebody who refills by being around people. An introvert refills by being alone. Okay? These two sides of the spectrum, and there's lots in the middle, are going to drastically affect the way you refill. But it is exceedingly helpful for you to figure out what kind of a person you are. What makes you feel drained? What makes you feel more alive? Do more of the things that make you feel alive. Do as much as you can to cut out the things that drain you out of your life, because these things are killing you. Okay? So this is some straightforward things. And yes, that does include, think about, what are you eating? What are you drinking? Where are you using distraction just to keep you from being overwhelmed? And where are you actually recharging? So, by the way, these are thoughts for some really, really deep discussions. So if you find that what I am saying here is beginning to kind of hit some trigger points for you. Yes, I do offer sessions and I do teach people. So think about whether or not this is something that we need to get in a deeper discussion about. All right, so we're going to move on to some more of the energetic ways that you can, for lack of a better word, improve your energetic immune system, okay? Because the whole idea is that if you are off balance, if your boundaries are being violated, if that which creates your life is being interfered with, then you create disharmony inside of yourself. That disharmony is going to continue to resonate in weird ways, and your body is going to keep screaming for resolution in ways to create harmony. And if it thinks that by making you get sick and stop doing all the nasty things that you will get better, then it will draw into your life an event like COVID-19. Okay, so all of you people who are out there currently saying, I don't have time to get sick, I don't have time to get sick, you are focusing on getting sick. Hate to tell you this, for all of you out there who have ever driven a car, they used to talk about if you were ever losing control of your vehicle and you see a tree in front of you, don't stare at the tree. Why? Because they figured out that the people that stared at the tree hit the tree. This is a problem. If you're staring at the concept of getting sick and then you get sick, is this really a totally different pattern? No, because what we focus on is what we draw into our lives. That's part of us being an energy creature. We are always interacting with and always affecting the world around us and the reality around us. And it has nothing to do with deserving. Do you deserve to get sick? No. Go ahead and throw that judgment out. That's a purely relative statement that has nothing to do with the discussion. What is going on, I like to think of as the short order cook of the universe, who just keeps hearing what you're focusing on like you're giving him a short order. So, and he doesn't hear negatives. He doesn't hear nots. He doesn't hear I don't want. He hears get sick, get healthy, COVID-19, okay? So he's over there in the universal kitchen and he doesn't tell you what he's thinking. It doesn't matter that in his mind he might be going, God, why does this woman keep asking to get sick? Okay, I'll give her another order of being sick. Here we go. Yeah, give her another order. Okay, and she's thinking of it again. This is what goes through. This is how the universe connects with us. So if you don't want something, then this is where we come back to that emotional wheel and changing our perspective so that we're on the other side. So it's not about focusing on not being fearful. It's about focusing on being hopeful. And again, listen to how you create the reality in your mind. Are you hoping you don't get sick? Oh, wait, that would be hoping you get sick. Okay, so turn it all the way to the healthy radar. I'm hoping to be healthy. I'm hoping to be joyful. I'm hoping to create hope in the world, because these are the consistently positive statements that point us in the right direction, that move us in the right way. Okay? So when we do these kind of energetic things, they shift our internal compass so that we instinctively keep trying to follow that kind of a path. So in other words, if I am working on trying to create more hope in my life, and I'm trying to back off of the negative things, because I understand that that only draws things like COVID-19 into me. So then I start looking for ways to draw life into me. I start looking for the ways that I am happy and joyful, and I'm around the people that I want to be, and I'm doing the things that I want to do. And when I'm making decisions, even when I'm not aware of it, I'm not consciously aware of it, I've gotten into the habit of trying to make happy, hopeful, potential decisions. So I keep steering myself in the same direction, and it moves us in that pathway so that even our immune system responds, and we're giving it more energy to defend us. We're giving our bodies a more solid boundary. We are nurturing our bodies with the physical things that it needs. Just everything that we're doing, even as something as simple as whatever you eat, even if it's not dietarily the best, if you are loving it and not beating yourself up for having eaten it, then you are doing a good thing for your body. This is part of how we nurture ourselves versus destroy ourselves. Okay? Something like COVID-19 thrives on how can you destroy yourself. Your immune system thrives on how can you rebuild yourself. Because your body, even Western medicine talks about a thing called homeostasis. It is this idea that the body knows what prime health is supposed to be, and it wants to get back there. This is true for your energetic body. This is true for your emotional body. This is true for you. You have an intrinsic understanding of what is right and wrong. And that's way more than the moral or ethical compass. This is just simply for you what is prime person. And when you get knocked off kilter, are you doing your best to rebuild yourself, or are you doing your best to destroy yourself? Okay? So, I want to go back for a moment, and I want to talk about this idea of our boundaries, because the immune system needs a certain amount of shielding, of boundaries, to keep itself together. When we look at the physical body, we're looking at the skin as being one of the first defenses that we have, because not everything moves into the body. That's what the skin's there for. We have the whole respiratory, the nasal passages that are lined with hairs and mucus so that you can sneeze and make things go away. They don't get caught up and immediately brought into us. We can breathe them back out. Yeah, all this kind of stuff. And then there's more and more layers as you move into the body. Everything is about the body having certain things in certain places, and everything knows its place. Now, when we get into our minds, this is where our intellect has a tendency to drive us off course. So, yes, man has the ability to suspend reality and come up with this power of illusion. But we also have that, the downside of that ability is back to we have the ability to restrict ourselves. We also have the ability to have a lack of boundaries. And that is a disharmonizing place. If you are driving down the street, most of you have been through this. You drive down the street, something happens in front of you, somebody throws a rock up off of their wheel, and it hits your windshield. And the first thing you do is you flinch back. Well, I had this happen to me a while back, and I was struck by the utter hilarity of this. How is that going to help? If that rock, by whatever fate, manages to make it through the windshield, that windshield's coming in at me too. So me flinching back, it's not going to get me out of the way of the windshield. On the other hand, I also took it a step forward, and I thought about What if the windshield had actually flexed, flinching like we do, away from the stone? It actually would have been detrimental. It would have destroyed its ability to be a boundary, to be a solid boundary. And it would have caused it a much, much higher chance of breaking. In fact, that is one of the things, one of the ways that glass breaks is something hits it and it gets it past where it can flex and it shatters. So when we as humans and energy creatures are walking around and we keep flinching from things that happen to us and we keep trying to squeeze ourselves into smaller parts of our bodies, we are drawing in the toxicity and the poisons of the environment that we're walking through, that we're flinching in. It's not like we flinch when we're in the middle of a beautiful, calm meadow and, oh, we could just draw that in closer to us. No, we flinch when we're in pain, when we're in fear, when we're in disgust, when something that is around us that we don't like is too close to us. So we try to get away from us, but then we create that vacuum, and that draws exactly what we are most worried about into us. Yep, that sounds like a recipe for how can I get sick. So it is really important to think about how can you fill up your space? How can you create safety for yourself inside of you? For some people, that's going to be allowing the divine to fill you up with its presence so that you know you're supported from the inside out. You know that nothing nasty can come into you. For some, that is going to be allowing you to stand up for yourself. Hearing that you have value. Hearing that you are deserving to be in your space. Because the universe created you. You are the act of the universe trying to devise a new way of being and then witnessing what happens. Why wouldn't you deserve to live? So that is a lot of the idea. I don't advocate fear. I'm advocating respectful action. I'm advocating awareness. And I guess the biggest thing that I want to bring you back to is the awareness that you have control. You have the ability to create an environment and a reality that is either likely to bring COVID-19 into you or likely to keep you healthy. Now, personally, if I have that awareness, I think I'm going to use it to do my darndest to try to be healthy. And I'm going to try my best to be there in happy, joyful, healthy ways for the people around me. This is how we each provide others in our lives with a beacon of hope, to remind them that maybe the world isn't falling down on us. Maybe we're going to survive. You know, the humans have managed to do this for a few thousand years now. We might succeed in doing this for a few thousand more if we get our act together. We'll see what happens. I think as a way of finishing up this class, I am going to leave you with a final meditation. And for those of you who have been through some of my courses before or been in any of my classes, it's probably going to be a fairly familiar one. But I want you to get comfortable. I want you to just allow your breathing to become slow and steady. No real worry about how it happens. Just go ahead and get to that place where you can be relaxed, Doesn't matter if you're laying down or sitting up. And I want you to close your eyes. And in the darkness, I want you to see a sphere, a bubble. And this is the magical world of your mind, so as you get closer, it gets bigger, and you realize that you can get inside it and it does not pop. And inside of that bubble, at the center, you see another bubble. And as you get closer to it, you realize you are going deeper and deeper inside of yourself. And again, you go inside of the bubble. And you see a third bubble. And you go inside of that. And in this third place, I want you to make a room, a space for yourself. It can be a room in a castle, it can be a clearing in a forest, but in this space there is only you. And inside of this space, I want you to feel what you feels like. You have your own vibration, your own taste, your own flavor. And once you become aware of what you feels like, I want you to allow your mind to feel outside of that space into the rest of you. I want you to feel all the other not you pieces that are there. And as you become aware of them, and you become aware that they are not parts of you, then I want you to watch them shrivel up and become dust. And every time you breathe out, I want you to blow that dust out of you. It does not serve you. It does not belong to you. It is not part of you. Let it go. And then as you breathe in, I want you to feel the earth beneath you, supporting you lovingly. You can allow yourself to let roots go down into her if you choose, but know that she is ready to take whatever you are ready to let go of. She is ready to fill you with anything that you need, and you feel that steady source of energy welling up from inside of the very earth beneath you. And as it wells up and fills you, you become aware of the sun shining down on you. Another divine, universal force, burning the darkness from within, filling you up with light and with love. I want you to let it fill you to the ends of your fingers and the ends of your toes, the tip of your hair and the tip of your nose. And when you are so filled up that you can feel the very edges of your skin, I want you to let the excess go ahead and let it brim out of you, out of the crown of your head, out of the soles of your feet. Let it return to where it needs to go. But understand that everything inside the space of your skin is sacred and is yours. And when you have need, you can always return to your space inside of you. You can refill with that abundant energy which is always available to you, which is always pure and healthy and life-giving. And when you're ready, go on about your day. Light's blessings to you all. I hope this class has been helpful. I certainly hope that you decide to add your comments, your questions. Again, you can find me on www.renewedspirithealing.com, or you can find me on Facebook at Renewed Spirit Healing. Thank you. Light's blessings.